Welcome to the Skn Newsline in Newscast. I'm your presenter, Andre Huey.
A double homicide in Newtown Tuesday night. More in this report. Kyle Williams and Akeem Paris, both of Carty Alley, Newtown, were gunned down Tuesday night in the community. Police say both were shot by masked assailants. Kyle died on the scene, while Akeem Paris was transported to the JNF hospital but succumbed to his injuries. A police statement is expected shortly. This is the second double homicide for 2021, bringing the number of homicides to 7 for the year thus far. In January, 20-year-old Lamont Heiliger and 19-year-old Jaquan Merritt were murdered in McKnight, the western end of the capital city. The most recent homicide occurred in Nevis. Travis Clark was gunned down on July 16th in Charlestown when an armed assailant pursued him and shot him several times. He ran and eventually collapsed, then succumbed to his injuries at the scene. I'm Andre Huey reporting for Skn Newsline. As authorities on St. Kitts ready new food vending locations, vendors are being requested to register to facilitate placement. Skn Newsline's Glenn Bart reports.
Persons who want to carry out vending operations are to register with the Ministry of Agriculture, which will supervise vending operations on St. Kitts. As food truck vendors gear up to occupy space on North Independence Square and other food vending activities assigned to Lower Shea Lane, officials are asking vendors to register to be allocated space for their operations. Speaking recently on leadership matters, government officials commented on registration and the matter of fees.
In the initial stages, we know it's going to be a bit of an adjustment for the food truck vendors. And so the fees are going to be waived for a while until they get comfortable with the space and learn how to navigate the space. As for the space, depending on the size, we are designing the space to accommodate between 6 and 8 food trucks, depending on the size of the food trucks.
The Ministry of Agriculture will facilitate the signing up and will help you through the process to ensure that you get the space that is being requested. Right, so just call the Ministry of Agriculture, or you can visit government headquarters. If you're going to call 467-1016, 467-1016, or you can call government headquarters and ask for the Ministry of Agriculture, and we will guide you through the process.
In the context of the COVID-19 pandemic, the government decided to remove unregulated vending from the streets, allocating vendors to specific areas of Basse-Terre, including the Basse-Terre Public Market. Glenn Bart reporting for Skn Newsline.
When we come back, the St. Peter's Bus Drivers Association has a new executive. Elliott's Funeral Parlor is the first licensed embalmer in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. We have a friendly and professional staff. At Elliott's Funeral Parlor, we offer a wide range of packages from $6,500. Homegoing service at chapel, locally made caskets, tailoring of outfit for deceased of your choice, wake, overnight with slideshow, funeral, death announcement, obituary, booklets, family pin-ons, memorial books, preparation of funeral arrangements, wreath, fresh and artificial. For further information, call 469-3298, 664-2007, or 660-0186. Elliott's Funeral Parlor in Gingerland, Nevis. Dedicated to those we serve.
When you need electronics or appliances, find just what you want quickly in one location. Yes, everything's under one roof. Only at Smart Electronics. We have tons of name brands, amazing service, and easy layaway plans. Summer is just around the corner, and we will save you the hassle of walking around town or going to St. Martin. We have everything you need right here in St. Kitts, so don't get confused and go different places. We are located at Port Zonte opposite the food court. Visit us today, or if you have any questions, you can call 466-4271. Smart Electronics, way to live a smart life. Terms and conditions apply.
Where will we go when the quarantine thing done and everybody touch?
An open interactive event can be described as
tremendous, effective,
on par with any conference around the world.
From exhibitions to trade shows, corporate events to product launches, from press events to political functions. We are the secret sauce behind events that make you go, wow. We've staged multiple world-class events in the Caribbean and developed the skill to deliver quality in every detail, whether the event is live or fully virtual, or maybe even somewhere in between. At Open Interactive, we got your events covered. Get your free quotation today at www.madebyopen.com.
Auto Plus Car Wash, located on the College Street Gut, Bastyr, St. Kitts. Bring your car to Auto Plus Car Wash to remove water stains, wiper marks. Get your doors, roof panel cleaned, seat floor mats, buffing, headlights, and engine wash. You get quality service at the best price at Auto Plus Car Wash. They really care for your car. Call 765-5140 or visit them on the College Street Gut, Bastyr, St. Kitts. Auto Plus Car Wash, where the service is number one. Welcome back. A new executive has been elected for the St. Peter's Bus Drivers Association. As part of their mandate, the new executive is pushing for a proper bus terminal for its members. More in this report. Establishing a proper bus terminal for buses plying the St. Peter's route is one of the goals of the newly elected executive of the St. Peter's Bus Association, says Delroy Carey, PRO of the association. The newly elected PRO said where the drivers are operating from currently is not suitable, and they're looking at several locations to be stationed.
Location for the bus to operate from, for us to operate from, and road condition to St. Peter's. We are in desperate need of a road, refurbishing of the road to St. Peter's. I don't know if you're aware, we operate from College Street Gut, where it is not suitable for the buses to operate from. I mean, one, it doesn't have any area if it rains to put out the passengers. Two, when the gut runs, we cannot operate. Three, we have no bathroom facilities, nowhere we can buy anything to eat. So we are really crying out to those in authority to assist us, whether it's somewhere temporary or give us a permanent bus stop. I mean, we look at the east and the west. They have already had their bus stop, I mean, properly built. St. Peter's now, for the last, I mean, I can't even count the years we have been operating from College Street, and we are saying that it is no more acceptable. It is just no more acceptable for us to operate in the gut. We have conversations with the gentleman who is in authority, and we looked at the front of the high school, the Bastyr High School, the former Bastyr High School. We had conversation with them already. They suggested the Carnival Village, and we are saying that any one of those areas would be suitable for us now, even if it's temporary. It would be better than College Street got now. And then in addition, the lights, the stoplights are going to come into effect anytime soon. So when that comes to effect, then that creates another problem for us operating in the College Street gut.
Mr. Carey also noted that they are seeking to improve the professionalism of the bus drivers.
Well, we are hoping with our term now in office, we are hoping to really improve the level service of the busman. We don't no longer want to see us as just bus drivers, but as a service provider. We are looking at dress codes. We are looking at the way you keep your bus, the way you drive. Because the passengers are supposed to be comfortable, and so we are really looking in that area of having at times bringing personnel to have those sessions, even in the business management aspect of the bus, because your bus is your business. Just like you go to work 8 to 4 for somebody else because you want to improve on your life, then it's the same way we need to look at the bus. It's a business, and the bus should be treated in a way because we need it to support our families. So we want to change the whole overall look at the way bus drivers operate. We are looking also to use this bus association and the stakeholders to bring back the community of St. Peter's together. So we have a lot of things on our agenda, and we are really hoping that with the assistance of the bus operators and owners that we could all achieve all of this together.
He listed the new executive members of the St. Peter's Bus Association.
The newly appointed executive body is spearheaded by Andrew Talbot, the president. We have Devon Smooth Kane, the vice president. We have Arville Sailor Thompson, the treasurer. We have Andy Pemberton, the secretary, and myself, Delroy Carey, PRO. This is the new executive body that has been elected to run the affairs of the St. Peter's Bus Association.
We will have more from Mr. Carey's interview in a subsequent newscast. Andre Huey, Skn Newsline. Police are making moves to enforce mask wearing in public spaces and have issued hundreds of tickets. Glenn Bart reports.
Superintendent of Police Cromwell Henry disclosed that over 300 tickets have been issued in relation to mask wearing. The most recent COVID-19 regulations call for patrons to wear masks in public spaces and for business owners and operators to admit only persons wearing masks. Superintendent Henry said he prefers people to voluntarily wear their masks, but indicated that police will ticket patrons and business operators alike for breaches on this regulation.
To date, we have issued 371 tickets for COVID-19 offences, and of that, I don't have the breakdown for bars, but a good number of that number were issued to persons at bars and both the bar owners and patrons at the bar who were not complying with the regulation with respect to bars. So we have been enforcing where we see infractions, but as I always say, we prefer voluntary compliance because the police cannot be at every bar all the time. And so if it is that persons only wear the mask when they see the police around, then that is not a good thing because the police cannot stay there, and when the police leave, they take off the mask. So we prefer voluntary compliance, but where we find infractions, we enforce the law by issuing tickets.
As the country continues to increase its economic activity, coming out of a multiple-week COVID-19 lockdown, health authorities have urged citizens and residents not to become complacent and to abide by the COVID-19 safety regulations. Glenn Bart reporting for Skn Newsline.
When we come back, Antigua and Barbuda trade unions take the government to task over its COVID-19 vaccination policy.
The Skn Newsline website now offers you more news. Log on to www.sknnewsline.com for local, regional, and international news. You can also watch the latest newscast and keep abreast with news in sports, all from sknnewsline.com. That's www.sknnewsline.com. News at your fingertips.
It's the new and improved Skn Newsline Android mobile app. With the Skn Newsline app, you can watch your news reports, the Skn Newsline newscast, sports, special features, and so much more. You can also send us a WhatsApp or call us directly. Go in the Google Play Store, search Skn Newsline, and download the app today. The Skn Newsline mobile app. News on the go. Welcome back. For the big stories in regional news, we now have our Caribbean news segment.
Several of the trade unions in Antigua and Barbuda have made their position clear in response to the government's policy on COVID-19 testing for unvaccinated frontline workers. Courtney Joseph of ABS TV reports.
We are in agreement that there should be no mandatory testing for unvaccinated persons, whether in the private or the public sector.
Ernest Mack making the position of the unions clear. The news conference was held in response to the government's policy for its unvaccinated frontline employees to submit fortnightly COVID-19 tests or be sent home without pay. Among the unions present were the Antigua Trades and Labor Union, Antigua and Barbuda Workers Union, Antigua and Barbuda Trade Union Congress, and unions representing nurses, teachers, and hotel workers. They expressed disappointment as they claimed the government held no consultations with unions before announcing the policy.
Our position, and I speak for the Antigua and Barbuda Trade Union Congress, all our unions that we represent, and all other organizations that represent workers around Antigua and Barbuda, that there should be consultation before these statements are issued. There needs to be continuous dialogue.
Representatives from the Antigua and Barbuda Trade Union Congress revealed that they did reach out to the government of Antigua and Barbuda on the 23rd of June to initiate consultations on the matter but got no response. Trade unionists are calling for further public education to encourage vaccination.
We believe that the way forward has to be dialogue and education. It is education that will provide comfort to persons, to allow them to get to a point where they will take the vaccine.
The unions insist a strike is a last resort, but they are prepared to stand in solidarity with their membership if necessary. They are hoping for further consultations. Courtney Joseph, ABS News.
St. Lucia's Prime Minister-elect Philip J. Pierre said his priority is to heal the division in the country, the economy and health care, following the St. Lucia Labour Party's landslide victory in the 2021 general elections. HCS TV in St. Lucia reports.
I'm happy. I want to thank the people of Castries East, my constituency. They've stuck with me. This is the 6th time that I've been re-elected. I'm extremely pleased and delighted.
6th-term parliamentarian, Prime Minister-designate Philip J. Pierre has expressed gratitude to the voting public who aided in the SLP's landslide win at the 2021 polls. Castries East constituents propelled Pierre to victory with 1,877 votes. Pierre, speaking exclusively to News Force on camera on Tuesday, following the SLP's thunderous victory at the polls, says his eyes are trained on stabilizing the economy.
I'd like to heal the country. The country has been very divided. I'd like the country to go for a period of healing, a period of calm, because we have a lot of work to do. We have a national debt of $4 billion and climbing. We have massive unemployment, and there's a lot of bitterness. So we need to soften it up. We need to make it a more caring society, and we'll take the work from there.
The capacity, or lack thereof, of St. Lucia's healthcare system was magnified by the pandemic, with St. Jude Hospital still not open, and the administration of OKEU and other primary health facilities hanging in the balance. The man entrusted with leading the country for another 5 years has vowed to make healthcare a top priority.
My first priority is getting the health sector under some level of proper management, and we take it from there.
The SLP clinched 13 of the 17 seats in Parliament at the July 26th polls. With victory secured, Pierre is ready to govern.
We had been doing our work, and we knew it possibly could have been 16 actually, but we want to thank the people of St. Lucia for the confidence they placed in us. It was a bitter campaign. There was a lot of other lies, many lies, and things that are obviously not true. But it's over. I hold no grudges, and moving forward to develop the country.
The Prime Minister-designate says the congratulatory messages have been pouring in from well-wishers, supporters, and even former Prime Minister Alan Shasney. And as for his much-anticipated swearing-in, he offered some insight on plans for the auspicious occasion.
We've spoken to a few heads of states, and my swearing-in will be tomorrow, so we hope to have some guests over for us. I've had a conversation with St. Lucia's, well, the Prime Minister, Mr. Alan Chastney. We had a discussion. We had a very cordial discussion, and I said to him, I'll be calling on him to any information that I may need to have a smooth transition.
Pierre's over 30-year political career took off after his first electoral victory in Castries East in 1997. Now, with a plan focused on economic stabilization, universal healthcare, and social transformation, he hopes to lead the charge in St. Lucia's recovery from the setbacks of the COVID-19 pandemic. Solange Alfred, HTS News Force.
Internationally, 4 police officers have testified about the January 6 attack on the U.S. Capitol building to a House of Representatives special committee for the first time. Former President Donald Trump had encouraged his supporters to interrupt a validation process that would result in him losing the 2020 election. The officers recounted how the rioters inflicted verbal and physical abuse on them. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi set up the hearing after efforts for a bipartisan commission failed. Al Jazeera's John Hendren reports from Washington, D.C. in the U.S.
Whole truth and nothing but the truth.
In sometimes harrowing testimony, 4 police officers detailed a coordinated attack on the U.S. Capitol and on them. Washington police officer Michael Fanone's own body camera captured him being pulled into the crowd of Donald Trump supporters, beaten and shocked with a taser.
Mike, stay in there, buddy. Mike, it's Jimmy, I'm here. Mike.
And he says the response from Republican politicians has been just as hurtful.
The indifference shown to my colleagues is disgraceful, but nothing, truly nothing, has prepared me to address those elected members of our government who continue to deny the events of that day, and in doing so, betray their oath of office.
Washington Metropolitan Police Officer Daniel Hodges, seen in a viral video being crushed between the Capitol doors by rioters, urged Congress to act.
I need you guys to address if anyone in power had a role in this. We're not allowed to.
U.S. Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn recalled being taunted with racial slurs.
No one had ever called me a nigger while wearing the uniform of a Capitol Police officer.
Just 2 Republicans joined the panel, defying their party to question the officers.
You guys may, individually feel a little broken, but you guys won. You guys held.
You hear former President Trump say, quote, "It was a loving crowd. There was a lot of love in the crowd." How does that make you feel?
It's upsetting. It's a pathetic excuse for his behavior for something that he himself helped to create, this monstrosity. I'm still recovering from those hugs and kisses that day.
The House Select Committee saw previously unseen video, some of it graphic, profane, and threatening.
Can I speak to Pelosi? Yeah, we're oh, my kids, we're coming for you too.
5 people died on Capitol Hill on January 6th, but despite the presence of 2 Republicans on the committee, the Republican Party is largely refusing to cooperate with the inquiry, in solidarity with Donald Trump, who urged supporters to march on the Capitol. House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy says the hearing is nothing but political theater.
That becomes a failed committee and a failed report, a sham that no one can believe.
As the hearings continue, the effort to investigate the insurrection continues to be matched by an equally aggressive campaign to discredit it. John Hendren, Al Jazeera, Washington.
Peru is celebrating 200 years of independence with a change of power and a new president, who, like millions of Peruvians, grew up in poverty. For being almost unknown, Pedro Castillo rose to the presidency, offering change for millions of poor Peruvians. And while many hope he delivers on his promise, some are wary that he will. Al Jazeera's Mariana Sanchez reports from Lima, Peru.
200 years as a republic. On Wednesday, Peru commemorates a landmark anniversary, the independence from the Spanish colonialists. Now for the first time, a farmer and rural primary school teacher takes over the presidency. Pedro Castillo comes from one of the poorest districts of Peru. Many Peruvians say they feel represented, but Jessica Laguna says her community on the outskirts of the capital, Lima, has little to celebrate.
The Republic is 200 years old, but there's inequality everywhere. We're rolling in the same mud and we can't escape. We wish our children could have it better, but we always have needs and there's no work. We wish for change, but we can't do better.
They claim the state has forgotten the poor. Members of this community build the roads themselves. They raise animals and eat together in a communal kitchen. Many families here at the Alto Retamal community live on less than $8 a day. Millions like them have come from remote places. For decades, people have been migrating from the Andes to the capital looking for a better life, and they ended up living in shanty towns where they continue to live in poverty. Margarita Alcagua says she doesn't have any hope that the new president will bring change.
My grandparents, my parents, we've always been poor. I was brought here as a child to escape poverty, and look, we the poor will always be poor. No one remembers us.
President Pedro Castillo has promised that there will not be any more poor in a rich country, but analysts say the road for him will be uphill and tough.
200 años. In 200 years, we have learned to survive rather than to live. Our hardships are severe. We have gone from being one of the countries with the highest level of development to where we are now, at the end of the scale.
From being almost unknown, Pedro Castillo rose to the presidency, offering change for millions of poor Peruvians. And while many hope he delivers on his promises, many are wary that he will. Mariana Sanchez, Al Jazeera, Lima, Peru.
In sports, American gymnast Simone Biles shocked the 2020 Tokyo Olympics by withdrawing from the women's team and individual all-round contests, in which she and her team were considered the top contenders over mental health concerns. The 24-year-old has received widespread praise for bringing attention to mental health, dispelling the stigma around the issue, and highlighting the immense pressure put on elite athletes. National figures, including former U.S. First Lady Michelle Obama and fellow athletes and commentators, have supported the decision taken by Biles, often lauded as the best gymnast of all time. Al Jazeera's Andy Richardson reports from Tokyo, Japan.
As one of gymnastics' all-time greats, Simone Biles has repeatedly demonstrated her determination and sporting excellence. A different aspect of that strong character has been in evidence during these Olympics. First withdrawing in the early stages of the women's team final, and then pulling out of her next gold medal competition on Thursday. Biles instead choosing to prioritise her mental health.
I was just like shaking, could barely nap. I've just never felt like this going into a competition before, and I tried to go out here and have fun and warm up in the back, went a little bit better, but then once I came out here, I was like, no, mental is not there, so I just need to let the girls do it and focus on myself.
All athletes arriving at these delayed Olympics faced unique external pressures, from dealing with unprecedented levels of social media scrutiny to the fear of a positive COVID-19 test. Biles had also set herself the task of becoming the first female gymnast to win 5 gold medals at a single Games.
The athlete normally doesn't have a voice, nor does an athlete trust their voice. She not only has a voice, which I love, but she also trusts her voice. And she knows she's going to get a little bit of backlash from fans, and people are like, how could you let your team down or whatever? But the best thing she can do is shut off all this outside chatter. Anything that's not coming from her own head or from her support system need not be heard.
Earlier this year, Japan's sporting superstar Naomi Osaka took a 2-month break from playing top-level tennis. She said she no longer wanted to do press conferences in order to protect her mental health. She also admitted to having prolonged bouts of depression ever since winning her first Grand Slam title in 2018. It brought a temporary halt to her career, but did start an important conversation in her home country.
I think in Japan, we still don't talk about mental health. And when Naomi Osaka came out with the issue, there's been lots of comments, negative comments on her. And I believe that was also kind of exaggerated with the gender issue.
After her unexpected loss at these games, Osaka admitted to feeling weighed down by the pressure of playing in a home Olympics. Biles may yet compete in next week's individual event finals. Regardless, this pair of champion athletes are leading the way in showing the world it is okay to talk about mental lows as well as sporting highs.
Now let's go back to Andy Richardson, who joins us once again from Tokyo. And Andy, what's been the response from athletes competing in Tokyo?
I think it's been really telling. I think in the past, if an athlete had pulled out of an event like this, she may have expected to have received a lot of criticism. The overwhelming sentiment towards Simone Biles has been one of support from athletes around the world and also from within the US Olympic team. Let's have a listen to what some of her Olympic teammates have had to say.
I really hope that she continues to do what's best for her and that the people around her, her coaches, her teammates, continue to support her. I know that the Team USA swimmers certainly support her, and the US gymnastics team and all of our teammates. You know, and mental health is so important.
At the end of the day, so many little people understand the struggles of an elite athlete, let alone an athlete like Simone Biles, who's at the top of her training range, and she is the curve. She's literally her own bar, and I don't think people fail to recognize that she is also a human being.
And that will do it for this edition of the Skn Newsline Newscast. For more stories, log on to our website, www.sknewsline.com. From all of us here at Skn Newsline and Channel 95, I'm Andre Huey. Thank you for watching.